The awakening of humanity's might. The galaxy was once a peaceful place, where many different alien species coexisted. Each of them had their own territory, their own ways, and their own rules. The humans, however, were different. They were young compared to the others, but they had something no one else had: determination. It was a quality that had been with them since their first steps on Earth. Little did the rest of the galaxy know. Humanity had been quietly building something powerful, something that would change the balance of the galaxy forever. For centuries, humanity had been looked down upon. The alien empires saw them as weak, primitive, and easily crushed if the need arose. But what the aliens did not realize was that humans were constantly evolving, always searching for ways to improve, always looking for new ways to fight. And now, they were preparing to show the galaxy what they were capable of. It all started with a single signal. The humans had created a massive machine, a warship unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. It wasn't just a ship, it was a symbol of everything humanity had worked for. Its engines were powered by a new form of energy, one so advanced that it could tear apart whole planets if used correctly. The ship, known as the Titan, was not just a weapon. It was humanity's declaration to the universe that they would not be overlooked any longer. When the ship's engines roared to life for the first time, it sent shockwaves through the galaxy. It wasn't just a new ship. It was the beginning of something much bigger, something that would ripple through the very core of every galaxy. The aliens who had once laughed at humanity now stared in shock. The Titan was just the start. Humanity had many more ships like it, each one more powerful than the last. Across the galaxy, the alien empires received the news. Some were curious, others were frightened, but most were dismissive. "It's just another Earth experiment," they said. "They'll fail like they always do." But as the days passed and humanity's war machine continued to grow, the laughter started to fade. The aliens had no idea what was coming. They couldn't understand the relentless drive of humanity. It was something that no other species had. Where the aliens saw a race of weaklings, humanity saw an opportunity to rise, to fight, and to win. They had faced impossible odds before, and they had always come out on top. Now, with their war machine fully operational, they were ready to prove that their time had come. As the Titan cruised through space, it was followed by other ships, each one more formidable than the last. Each one was a part of humanity's plan to take control of the galaxy. These ships weren't just designed for war. They were designed to inspire fear, to show the universe that humanity was no longer a mere afterthought. The ships were massive, with weapons that could level whole cities, shields that could withstand the most powerful energy blasts, and crew members who were trained to fight with an unmatched ferocity. The first encounter between humanity's war machine and the alien forces came sooner than anyone expected. An alien patrol ship stumbled upon a human fleet, and immediately they began to attack. The aliens thought it would be an easy victory. After all, they were the seasoned warriors of the galaxy, and the humans were just beginning. But what the aliens didn't know was that humanity had something they didn't: ingenuity. The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The aliens fired their weapons, confident that their technology would be enough to destroy the human ships. But they quickly learned that humanity's ships were unlike anything they had ever faced. The Titan and its companions fought back with brutal efficiency, their weapons cutting through the alien ships with terrifying precision. The aliens were taken by surprise. They had never expected humanity to be so powerful, so prepared. Their forces began to retreat, but it was too late. Humanity's war machine had tasted victory, and it wouldn't stop until the entire galaxy knew what they were capable of. Back on Earth, the news of the victory spread like wildfire. The humans had won their first battle, but it was only the beginning. The galaxy had no idea just how unstoppable humanity's war machine had become. The aliens, still recovering from their defeat, began to realize that their arrogance had blinded them to the truth. Humanity was no longer the weak species they had once been. They were a force to be reckoned with. The Titan and its fleet continued to move forward, each victory bringing them closer to their ultimate goal: domination of the galaxy. The message was clear. Humanity would not be ignored any longer. They were here, and they would fight to the end, no matter the cost. The galaxy, once so sure of its dominance, now had to face the reality that humanity's war machine was unstoppable. And as each new victory was won, the legend of the Titan and humanity's might spread further, until it could not be denied by any alien empire. Humanity had awoken, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The beginning of the march. After the shocking victory, humanity didn't waste any time. The galaxy had seen the first sign of their power, and now it was time for the real march to begin. The war machine that humanity had secretly built for years was no longer hidden. It was on full display, and the galaxy had no choice but to watch as Earth's might began to move. Across Earth, humans celebrated their first victory. But for those in charge of the war machine, there was no time for celebration. The generals, strategists, and scientists knew that this was only the beginning. The aliens would regroup, and they would retaliate. The key to humanity's success was not in one battle, but in their ability to continue pushing forward, adapting, and never giving up. The Titan was the centerpiece of this great march, but it was not alone. Behind it, many more warships followed. The humans had been preparing fleets in secret, building ships that were larger, faster, and more deadly with each new model. The war machine was designed not just to fight, but to dominate. Every ship was a masterpiece of human engineering, equipped with advanced weapons systems that the galaxy had never seen before, and they were all ready for war. The galaxy, however, was not prepared. The first alien empire to react was the Zoreth, a massive empire known for their advanced fleets and brutal tactics. They had once ruled over many star systems, striking fear into every species they encountered. But when they heard the news of humanity's first victory, they were not only curious, they were scared. The Zoreth didn't know what humanity's war machine was capable of, and they feared it could end their empire before it even began. They quickly assembled their forces, intending to crush the human fleet before it could spread any further. But the humans were already ahead of them. Intelligence gathered by human spies had already warned Earth about the Zoreth's plans. Humanity was always a step ahead, and they used this to their advantage. As the first major fleet of human warships emerged from Earth's atmosphere, it was led by the Titan, the symbol of humanity's power. The Zoreth fleet, in all their might, were already waiting for them at the edge of a distant star system. But they didn't know what was coming. They had underestimated humanity's war machine, thinking it was just a single, lucky victory. They were wrong. The humans moved swiftly. Their ships, though not as large as the Zoreth's, were nimble and powerful. The Titan was surrounded by a fleet of smaller ships, all armed with the same level of technology. Together, they formed a perfect strategy, a wall of metal and fire that would push back anything in its path. The Zoreth were taken by surprise. The battle began, and the first shots were fired. The Zoreth launched their strongest weapons, trying to break through the human defenses, but humanity's warships were ready. The shields of the Titan held firm, and the smaller ships fought back with equal strength. Each human ship was equipped with weapons capable of disabling or destroying entire fleets. The Zoreth didn't stand a chance. Their ships were knocked out one by one, as humanity's technology proved superior in every way. As the battle raged on, the Zoreth leaders watched in horror. Their best ships were being destroyed with ease, and their forces were losing ground. It became clear, humanity's war machine wasn't just a fluke. It was real, and it was unstoppable. The Zoreth began to retreat, pulling back their forces in an attempt to save what little remained of their fleet. The humans pressed forward, never stopping, pushing the aliens further back. Back on Earth, the leaders watched in silence as the battle continued. The victory was coming closer, but they knew the war was far from over. They couldn't afford to slow down, not when the galaxy had seen the power they wielded. The Zorath's retreat would send a message across the stars. Humanity's march had just begun. As the final shots were fired, the Zorath fleet was defeated. The humans had won another victory, but this time, it wasn't just about the battle. It was about sending a message to every alien empire in the galaxy. Humanity was no longer weak. Humanity was no longer to be ignored. The galaxy now had to face the fact that an unstoppable war machine had risen, and it would continue to march forward, crushing anything that stood in its way. As the human fleet turned and headed back toward Earth, the stars seemed to glow a little brighter. This victory was just a glimpse of what was to come. Humanity's march had only just begun, and the galaxy had better prepare itself. The humans were coming, and they weren't going to stop until the entire galaxy knew that their time had come. The first encounter. Humanity's war machine moved steadily forward, and the galaxy watched, unsure of what to expect next. The first victory over the Zorath had been a shock, but it wasn't enough to guarantee peace. The alien empires had now taken notice, and some were growing nervous, while others were preparing for war. It wasn't long before humanity encountered its next challenge, one far more dangerous than the Zorath had been. A large fleet belonging to the Rilkan Empire, a race of technologically advanced and ruthless beings, received reports of humanity's sudden rise in power. The Rilkan had long been considered one of the most feared civilizations in the galaxy, known for their brutal conquest and strategic genius. They had faced many enemies before, but the thought of an upstart species like humanity challenging their rule was something they could not ignore. The Rilkan fleet quickly mobilized, planning to crush humanity before they could grow any stronger. They sent their best ships, equipped with the most devastating weapons in the galaxy, to confront the human forces. The galaxy braced itself for the next great clash, and all eyes turned to the battlefield. The first encounter between humanity's war machine and the Rilkan came in a remote system on the edge of human space. It was a quiet place, far from the political centers of the galaxy, and the perfect location for an ambush. The Rilkan arrived with overwhelming numbers, confident that their fleet could wipe out the human forces without much effort. They had underestimated humanity's resolve, and they were about to pay the price. At the heart of humanity's forces was the Titan, and surrounding it were dozens of smaller, faster ships, each one more powerful than the Rilkan could have imagined. The human fleet did not engage in a traditional battle. Instead, they used their intelligence and strategy to set a trap. The human ships hid in the asteroid fields of the distant system, waiting for the Rilkan to arrive. The moment the Rilkan fleet entered the system, the humans struck with terrifying precision. The Rilkan were not prepared for the sudden assault. Their fleet was large, but it was slow and cumbersome compared to the humans' agile ships. The first wave of human fighters attacked without warning, launching waves of missiles and energy blasts that tore through the Rilkan ships. The human warships moved quickly, dodging incoming fire and striking back with unrelenting force. The Rilkan commanders tried to regroup, but it was too late. The human war machine was faster, more coordinated, and far deadlier than they had anticipated. The battle was chaotic, and for the first time, the Rilkan realized that their reputation as the most powerful empire in the galaxy had been shattered. Humanity's warships seemed to be everywhere at once. Missiles flew through the dark void of space, and explosions lit up the battlefield like fireworks. The Rilkan were caught off guard, their ships disintegrating under the overwhelming firepower of humanity's forces. The Titan stood at the center of the battlefield, its massive cannons firing at Rilkan flagship after flagship, knocking them out of the sky with each shot. The humans didn't just fight. They fought with purpose, with a fire that the Rilkan had never seen before. Each victory was hard-earned. Each ship that fell made the humans even more determined. As the battle continued, the Rilkan were forced into a retreat, their fleet crumbling under the relentless onslaught of humanity's war machine. But even in retreat, the Rilkan were dangerous. They were not going to let humanity claim victory so easily. As their ships pulled back, The Rilcan unleashed their final weapon, a massive energy pulse designed to destroy anything in its path. The blast was powerful enough to obliterate an entire fleet in a single shot, and it was headed straight for the Titan. The humans watched in horror as the pulse surged toward them, but the crew of the Titan didn't panic. They had prepared for this. In a daring move, the human fleet split into two groups, drawing the Rilcan's attention. The Titan took the lead, drawing the pulse's fire and taking the brunt of the damage. The shield held, just barely, but it held. As the pulse hit, the Titan was rocked, but the shields absorbed the energy, protecting the rest of the fleet. The Rilcan had made a fatal mistake. They had underestimated the resilience of humanity's war machine. With the Rilcan fleet retreating and their weapon exhausted, humanity pressed forward. The humans had won the battle, but the victory came at a cost. The Titan had been damaged, and several ships in the fleet had been lost, but humanity's war machine had once again proven its worth. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer an easy target. The galaxy would now know that this young species, once underestimated, had the strength and determination to stand toe-to-toe with the galaxy's most powerful empires. As the human fleet left the battlefield, the Rilcan were left licking their wounds. They had learned a hard lesson. Humanity was not just a passing threat. They were a force to be reckoned with, and the galaxy would soon realize that humanity's march was unstoppable. The victory was sweet, but there was no time for celebration. The next challenge was already looming on the horizon. Humanity's march had just begun, and the galaxy was about to see what it truly meant to face the full might of humanity's war machine, a rising threat. After humanity's unexpected victory over the Rilcan, the galaxy was shaken. The once confident alien empires began to fear that humanity might be more than a fleeting threat. The power of the Titan and its fleet was undeniable, and their tactics had proven that humans were capable of facing even the mightiest forces with unexpected skill and resilience. But the victory over the Rilcan was not without consequence. The alien empires now understood that humanity was more than just a nuisance. The galaxy's biggest and most powerful civilizations began to shift their focus. No longer would they dismiss humanity as insignificant. A growing sense of urgency gripped them. A powerful coalition of alien empires formed, determined to eradicate the human threat before it could grow any stronger. Among these empires was the Vora Syndicate, a highly secretive group of technologically advanced races. The Vora were known for their precision and ruthless efficiency. Their fleet, though smaller than the massive forces of the Zorath or Rilcan, was feared for its ability to strike hard and fast. They had never fought a war with such unpredictable opponents before, and they saw humanity as the greatest challenge they'd ever faced. The Vora Syndicate quickly set their sights on humanity, and unlike their previous enemies, they had no intention of underestimating the humans' capabilities. The Syndicate's leaders sent a small fleet, equipped with advanced stealth technology, to monitor human space. They were planning to launch a covert strike, one designed to cripple humanity's war machine before it could escalate further. Meanwhile, on Earth, humanity's leadership knew the war was far from over. The Titan and its fleet had won multiple battles, but with every victory, more enemies were awakening to the reality of humanity's rise. Humanity's generals, scientists, and leaders began to prepare for the worst. They knew that their enemies were watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. But humanity's greatest strength was their ability to adapt quickly. Every loss became a lesson, and every victory added fuel to the fire. Humanity's war machine, despite the early victories, had not yet reached its peak. Scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to develop new weapons and technology to keep up with the growing threat. New ships, faster and stronger than their predecessors, were created. The humans had learned from their encounters with the Zorath and Rilcan, and now they were preparing for a battle unlike any the galaxy had seen before. One fateful day, as the human fleet was patrolling the outer edges of their territory, a strange signal was detected. an encrypted transmission coming from deep in the Vora Syndicate's territory. It wasn't long before humanity realized that the Vora had already infiltrated their systems, gathering information for an attack. The humans were not unprepared. They had been watching the Vora Syndicate for some time, and the leadership was aware that the Syndicate's fleet was on its way. In response, they launched a preemptive strike to stop them before the Vora could reach human space. The first skirmish took place in a sector known for its dense asteroid fields. The Vora fleet, equipped with advanced stealth technology, moved silently through the sector, hoping to catch the human forces off guard. But humanity was ready. As the first wave of Vora ships emerged from the shadows of the asteroid belt, human warships, equipped with cutting-edge detection systems, ambushed them. The battle that followed was swift and brutal. The Vora's stealth technology allowed them to strike first, but the humans were no amateurs. They used their superior knowledge of the terrain, their advanced energy weapons, and their maneuverability to outsmart the Vora. Despite the Vora's technology, humanity's ships were faster and more coordinated. The Vora Syndicate had underestimated humanity once again. Their carefully calculated strike quickly turned into a desperate retreat as human ships chased them down, overwhelming their stealth systems and picking off their ships one by one. For the first time, the Vora Syndicate was on the defensive, and humanity had proven that they could not be caught off guard. But despite their loss, the Vora were not finished. The humans had fought valiantly, but the Syndicate knew they had the means to regroup and come back stronger. Their fleet had suffered significant losses, but they still had the upper hand in resources. However, humanity had made an undeniable statement. They were not afraid. They would not be intimidated, and they could strike back with precision and power. As the battle came to a close, humanity once again emerged victorious, but they knew that their enemies would never stop. The galaxy was now fully aware of the existence of an unstoppable force, and the Vora Syndicate was just the beginning. More enemies would come, more coalitions would form, and the war machine would keep marching forward. On Earth, leaders knew the hardest battles were yet to come. Humanity was no longer just defending their home. It was now fighting for their place in the galaxy. The rise of their war machine would continue, and the galaxy would have to adapt to the new reality. Humanity was here, and they were not going away. With the Vora Syndicate's fleet retreating into the shadows, the galaxy held its breath. Who would be next to challenge humanity's war machine? No one knew, but one thing was certain: humanity's unstoppable march was far from over. And with every battle, the legend of the Titan and humanity's relentless pursuit of victory continued to grow. The human counterattack. The battle against the Vora Syndicate had given humanity a brief moment of respite, but it was clear that the galaxy was not going to let them go unchallenged. Every empire, large and small, had taken notice of the rising human war machine, and they were now making their moves. The galaxy was not a place where one species could remain dominant for long, and humanity's enemies were more determined than ever to stop their march. But humanity was not about to back down. If anything, their recent victory had fueled their resolve even further. The time for defense was over. Humanity's generals and leaders knew they could not afford to wait for their enemies to come to them. The galaxy was vast, and to secure their future, humanity would have to take the fight to their enemies. It was time for a counterattack, and this time, humanity would strike with everything they had. The plan was simple: hit them where it would hurt the most. Humanity's war machine had grown stronger since their first victory over the Zorath, and now they had the ships, the firepower, and the strategy to wage war on multiple fronts. The goal was to destabilize the larger alien empires and make it clear that humanity was not just a threat. They were the new power in the galaxy. The first target was the Zorath Empire. Despite their retreat, the Zorath had been regrouping, building up their forces once more. They were large, powerful, and highly militarized. Humanity's leaders knew that striking the Zorath would send a powerful message across the galaxy, proving that humanity could strike down even the largest of empires. The Titan and its fleet were ready. This time, they were not just going to push back the Zoreth, they were going to bring the fight to their homeworld. The humans had gathered intelligence over the past few months, and they knew the location of the Zoreth's largest fleet base. It was heavily guarded, but humanity's war machine was well prepared. As the human fleet approached the Zoreth homeworld, the first signs of battle began to unfold. The Zoreth fleet was larger than anything humanity had encountered before, but the humans didn't hesitate. They launched a full-scale assault, attacking in waves and taking the Zoreth by surprise. The first shots were fired from the Titan, its massive cannons tearing through the enemy ships with terrifying precision. The Zoreth forces retaliated with everything they had, but the human fleet was fast and well coordinated. They didn't give the Zoreth a chance to organize a proper defense. The Zoreth fleet, despite its size and strength, began to falter under the intensity of humanity's attack. The human ships darted through the battlefield, attacking from unexpected angles and using their superior agility to avoid the Zoreth's deadly counterstrikes. It was the first time that the Zoreth had been forced to fight defensively, and they were quickly overwhelmed by humanity's relentless assault. But the Zoreth were not so easily beaten. They called for reinforcements, but the humans were already ahead of them. The human fleet split into two, launching a surprise attack on the reinforcements before they could reach the battlefield. It was a bold move, one that paid off. The Zoreth forces were shattered, their ships and fleets left in disarray. Humanity had taken control of the battlefield, and the Zoreth were forced to retreat once again. But the victory was not without cost. Humanity's fleet had taken damage, and several ships had been lost in the battle. The Titan had been struck by enemy fire, and its shields were weakened. The Zoreth's final counterattack had been fierce, but humanity's fleet had held strong. As the battle concluded, the Zoreth were left reeling, their forces decimated and their morale shattered. For humanity, this was a pivotal moment. The Zoreth Empire, once thought to be an unstoppable force in the galaxy, had been defeated. The human fleet, led by the Titan, had once again proven that they could stand against even the largest empires. The message had been sent. Humanity was not just a force to be reckoned with. They were a rising power, ready to claim their place in the galaxy. Back on Earth, the leaders knew the battle was far from over. The Zoreth's defeat would send shockwaves across the galaxy, but other enemies would rise to challenge humanity's growing power. The galaxy's empires were not going to sit idly by while humanity made its move. But for the first time, humanity had shown that they were no longer just defenders. They were conquerors willing to take on the most powerful forces in the galaxy and emerge victorious. As the Titan and its fleet sailed back toward Earth, their mission had been a success, but they knew the war was far from over. The galaxy was vast, and there were still many empires that would challenge humanity. But one thing had become clear. Humanity's war machine was unstoppable, and their march was only just beginning. The victory over the Zoreth was a taste of what was to come, and humanity was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The march had begun, and no one in the galaxy could stand in humanity's way. The battle for supremacy. Humanity had now emerged victorious on multiple fronts, defeating the Zoreth and securing their place as a rising power in the galaxy. But as their reputation grew, so did the number of enemies. Alien empires, once united by their fear of humanity's unstoppable war machine, now saw one undeniable truth. If humanity was allowed to continue its march unchecked, they could very well dominate the galaxy. The greatest challenge lay ahead. With humanity's triumph over the Zoreth, the largest and most powerful empires began to unite, forming a coalition to finally put an end to the human threat. The war was no longer just about one empire or one species. It was about the survival of the galaxy's existing order. The stakes had never been higher. Humanity now faced a full-scale alliance of alien forces, each one more powerful and more cunning than the last. Among the most dangerous of these alliances was the Andros Consortium, a massive empire that ruled over half of the known galaxy. They controlled vast fleets of warships and had access to powerful technology, far beyond anything humanity had encountered. The Andros were known for their highly strategic minds, their cunning tactics, and their ruthless nature. If anyone could stand in the way of humanity's rise to dominance, it was the Andros. The battle would take place in the heart of Andros space, on the doorstep of their most heavily fortified planet, Salthian. Humanity's leaders knew this would be the final test. Defeat the Andros, and humanity would cement their place as the new supreme power in the galaxy. Fail, and the galaxy's alien forces would close in, wiping humanity off the map. The battle began with an unexpected twist. The Andros, renowned for their brilliant strategies, launched a surprise offensive at the heart of humanity's war fleet. They had anticipated humanity's every move, setting traps and using decoys to mislead the human forces. As the first wave of Andros ships appeared out of the darkness, the human fleet found itself in a deadly crossfire, trapped between two waves of alien ships. The Titan was on the front lines, its massive guns blazing as the battle raged on. But the Andros were no fools. Their ships were faster and more agile than anything humanity had fought before. They used hit-and-run tactics, firing powerful weapons before disappearing into the darkness of space, only to reappear moments later and strike again. Humanity's forces were forced to adapt quickly, using their speed and ingenuity to match the Andros' relentless attacks. The tide of battle shifted several times, with both sides gaining and losing ground. But humanity's war machine had learned much from previous battles, and their tactics had grown even more refined. The humans used the Andros' own traps against them, baiting them into attacking vulnerable points and striking back with devastating precision. It was a deadly game of cat and mouse, with both sides carefully calculating their next move. At the heart of the battle, the Titan continued its assault, its massive weapons cutting through the Andros fleets like a hot knife through butter. The Andros flagship, the Vanguard, was a formidable sight. An enormous ship equipped with energy shields and weapons that could level entire planets. The battle became personal, as the Titan and the Vanguard locked in a fierce one-on-one duel, each ship unleashing its most powerful weapons in a contest of supremacy. The battle raged for hours, with the stars around Salthian becoming a canvas of explosions and fire. The Andros ships fought with ruthless precision, but humanity's war machine had something they didn't: sheer determination. The human fleet, battered but not broken, continued to press forward, refusing to give up. In the final moments of the battle, the Titan launched a daring offensive. Using a new experimental weapon, the human flagship fired a powerful beam of concentrated energy straight at the Vanguard. The Andros flagship's shields flared up, but the human weapon, designed specifically to pierce through even the strongest defenses, shattered the shield and struck the heart of the ship. The Vanguard exploded in a fiery burst of light, signaling the turning point of the battle. As the Andros fleet began to retreat, humanity's forces pressed the advantage. The combined might of the human fleet, led by the Titan, proved to be too much for the Andros to handle. One by one, the Andros ships fell, and their fleet began to disband. The humans had done it. They had defeated the Andros, and with it, the final obstacle to their supremacy in the galaxy had been removed. The galaxy held its breath as humanity emerged victorious from the ashes of battle. The Andros, once thought to be the supreme rulers of the galaxy, had been defeated by a young species that had no place being a threat. At least, that's what the galaxy had thought before. Humanity's war machine had proven its worth, and the message was clear. Humanity was no longer just a species struggling to survive. They were the new masters of the galaxy. As the Titan and the remaining human ships returned to Earth, their victory was celebrated, but the leaders knew that the war was far from over. Other empires would rise to challenge them, but humanity had proven that they were more than capable of defending their newfound place at the top. The march continued, and with each victory, humanity's strength grew. The battle for supremacy had been won, But humanity's journey was far from finished. The galaxy now knew what humanity was capable of, and as long as the war machine kept marching forward, no one would be able to stop them. The stars themselves had become the battleground, and humanity had claimed their place among them. Humanity's victory. The battle for supremacy was over, but the real work was just beginning. As humanity's war machine stood victorious on the bloodied fields of space, the galaxy was forever changed. The empires that had once laughed at the human race were now scattered or broken, their fleets shattered, their spirits crushed. The galaxy was at the feet of humanity, and the message had been sent. No force in the universe could challenge the unstoppable march of humanity's might. The Titan, the symbol of humanity's indomitable will, floated proudly in the midst of the shattered Andros fleet. The warship had endured countless battles, but this final conflict had tested its limits. It had withstood enemy fire, and in turn, it had obliterated everything that stood in its way. The human fleet, battered but unyielding, had earned their place at the top. Back on Earth, celebrations erupted. The leaders of humanity, from military commanders to politicians, stood united in victory. Their long war against the galaxy's mightiest empires had brought them to the brink, but they had triumphed. Humanity had not only proven themselves capable of surviving in the vastness of space, they had conquered it. Earth was no longer just a planet among many. It was the heart of an empire. But while victory was sweet, humanity knew that it was not the end. There would always be new challenges, new powers rising to challenge their dominance. However, humanity had learned much in the heat of war. They had learned how to adapt, how to push forward against impossible odds, and how to create a war machine that could never be stopped. The galaxy watched as humanity moved from one conquest to the next, establishing new colonies, exploring distant worlds, and rebuilding the parts of the galaxy that had been ravaged by war. With the Andros defeated and the last of the major threats eliminated, humanity set its sights on building a new future, a future in which they would not just survive, but thrive. In the weeks that followed, peace talks began. The surviving alien empires, weakened and scattered, had no choice but to acknowledge humanity's power. The Galactic Council, once an institution of the most powerful species, now found itself under the watchful eye of Earth. Humanity's leadership was firm, but fair. They had no interest in further conquest. Their aim was stability, security, and progress for all species in the galaxy. Humanity's message was clear. The age of endless war had come to an end. The galaxy would now be united under the banner of peace. Yet the power of humanity's war machine would always be there, a reminder to all that any who dared to challenge the peace would face the full force of Earth's might. As humanity's influence spread, new alliances were forged with those species who had once feared them. The galaxy slowly began to rebuild. Trade routes flourished, technology advanced, and for the first time in centuries, the galaxy knew peace. However, in the depths of space, whispers persisted. Some alien factions, still reeling from their defeat, muttered about humanity's power. They had witnessed the fall of the greatest empires, and though defeated, they had not forgotten. The galaxy was peaceful for now, but in the shadows, there were those who would plot and wait, always seeking to topple the new order that humanity had established. Humanity, however, was prepared. The war machine that had secured their victory was not just an army, it was a symbol of resilience, of determination, and of the relentless will to protect everything they had fought for. And as the stars stretched out before them, humanity knew this. The galaxy was theirs, and they would defend it with everything they had. In the quiet moments of victory, as the crew of the Titan stood on the bridge, watching the stars unfold before them, one thing was clear. Humanity was no longer just a player in the galaxy. They were its rulers, its protectors, its future. And as long as the Titan sailed through the stars, so too would humanity's will, forever unstoppable. The march was complete. Humanity's victory was assured. The galaxy, once thought to be the domain of powerful ancient empires, now belonged to the relentless will of humankind. The galaxy had witnessed humanity's rise, and it would never be the same again.